Nice to meet you, brother. I love watching you grow up.
He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man.
Touchdown!
Is this the dagger?
Fernando Tatis Jr., a grand slam.
Iguodala. It's funny to hear a female talk about routes. Like,
Pull up your pants. Take off the prawn. Be a man.
Welcome to From the Backseat, hosted by Clark and Ethan.
it's funny.
Hello and welcome to From the Backseat, where I'm your host, Ethan, and I am joined again by my co-host.
What up, guys? Clark back here again. Can't wait to get into today's topics. Really looking forward to it. Should be a great episode. So good.
Yeah, so today is more of like a lightning round episode where there's no like huge story in sports right now, but there are a ton of like small stories that we're going to be talking about. With the All-Star break just passed about a week ago, with baseball now back into its second half. We have the NFL gearing up for training camp starting next week. Rookies have already pretty much throughout the league have reported. I'm not really a basketball guy. I don't know how much basketball you watch, Clark.
I watch a little bit of the rookie league. I keep tabs where I need to keep tabs. I'm not one of those people who sits down and chronically watches the rookie summer league, but some people do.
Are you betting on anything right now?
No, I thought about throwing some money on the British Open golf, but stayed away with that. Stayed away from it. I think any bets that I'll be putting on will be waiting until football season, where I feel like my most success has had. I'm a good baseball bettor, but I don't feel like there's been anything in the past couple days that has really caught my eye. So I've been staying off it right now.
That's good. That's good.
It's called growth, actually. It's growth.
That is growth. And talking about bets, let's start off with the biggest story of the week, which is the thumbnail of this video. Probably why you clicked on it, which is the whole running back situation, which is occurring in the NFL right now.
I mean, where were you on Running Back Awareness Day?
Seriously, where were you?
On Twitter. Where were you?
The reason I brought up the betting thing is because running backs bet on themselves. And that was a very negative experience for pretty much every single one of them. I don't think any running back who bet on themselves won. Maybe Miles Sanders, because at least he got a 3-year deal. But
yes, that's about it, though. I mean,
3
what were the
years,
only
25.
two that actually stuck around were two guys that agreed to a contract restructuring, which is Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really poor landscape for running backs right now. And the reason this was all brought up is because Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard were all franchise tagged and all did not get extensions. Every single one of them. All three top 10 backs right now, I think pretty much unanimous.
Not even with it. I mean, Pollard, maybe because he's hurt, it's a little bit different, but Barkley and, it's wild. It's
wild.
Jacobs,
and I mean, it's a bad landscape, but the biggest voice in all of this is LA Charger Austin Eckler by far. Austin Eckler is by far.
I can't imagine why, by the way. I couldn't imagine why he's the biggest voice.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird that he is the biggest voice, but I mean, I also get it. He was a UDFA who hit free agency early, but he's pretty much the only one that got a second contract, which is also like kind of a weird wrinkle in this. But the biggest part of the Austin Eckler situation, which a lot of people were clowning him on, but I actually agree, was his comment that starting running backs are getting paid less than backup receivers, which in some cases is true right now.
Yeah.
Which is, honestly, when you put it into that perspective, it's just crazy to even consider that we're in a landscape where running backs are currently so undervalued that you'd rather have a fourth receiver higher paid than a running back.
Yep. I mean, I just think it's a sad sort of state in some ways, because I feel like for so long the running back's been a position that I feel like a lot of kids grow up and want to play, and it's the premier spot. But now the NFL's changed in such a way in that who wants to give a running back a second contract? I mean, that's the harsh reality of it, is that, hey, you can have a really good 5 years for us, but why give him a second contract when we can take a fourth rounder who can give us the same production, can catch the ball out of the backfield, and we don't have to pay him a dime. I mean, truth be told, at this point, if you're a running back in the NFL, don't expect a second contract. Unless you're willing to take no money at all, don't take it. And I think another thing, too, that's kind of sad is, a lot of like Saquon Barkley, I mean, if he stayed healthy, he'd probably have a chance to break a lot of records in the NFL. Some of these guys around, the opportunity now for that is just gone. I mean, I really think the fact that Barkley and Jacobs they can't get contracts is pretty much a death sentence for anyone else who's currently looking for one or was potentially a high draft pick. It'll be interesting to see how ones work out for guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a first round pick, or any of those other top ones to see if the second
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. If those guys get second contracts, I mean, I feel like you kind of have to be inclined to give them, considering you spent first round capital on them, especially in Robinson's case, but it's just like terrible state. And I don't know how you play it. I don't know how it feels to be a representative of one of those guys right now as an agent. I just think it's kind of a black hole. I don't know what you do. You don't have much leverage at the table.
No, I mean, running backs currently have zero leverage.
Go ahead.
No. Well, I was just gonna say, like, I've been seeing online all these solutions people are trying to come up with, and honestly, the only one that I think would work is that all running backs pretty much have to go on strike. I think that's pretty much the only solution to where they could ever get any sort of change, is like literally just let garbage players be running backs for a year.
I agree.
I mean, I think that's
would never happen completely.
No, it's not gonna happen. I mean, there's too much money on the table, but I mean, like, I've seen the solution of like, running backs can't get drafted. They should just get signed out of the league, which makes zero sense.
No, 0 cents.
I mean,
will say some of the takes that have come out of this have been ridiculous. Like, I saw someone tweet out that Justin Tucker is more valuable than the top 5 backs in the NFL. That's crazy. We need to check some of that stuff at the door, because if you're making comments like that, don't know ball. It's just an obscene thing to say. He's not more valuable than the top 5 backs. But that's just where some of people's minds go, which is sad. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what running backs do. I mean, they can't strike. They're not going to strike. There's going to be guys that just wouldn't strike. It'd be crazy to see that, though. If there was just a section of NFL players that were like, you know what? We're not doing this right now. Find someone else.
They just all don't show up to training camp.
But then it would suck if somehow, like, random receivers started playing running back and got the same production. That wouldn't happen, but
it wouldn't happen. I mean, it just wouldn't happen. I mean, I guess the biggest issue would be like if like third string running backs who stayed on the team like turned into serviceable
they started showing up. If you had
but the thing is, that wouldn't happen on all 32 teams. Like that would maybe happen.
There'd be a huge noticeable dip. Like teams like San Francisco. If you didn't, I mean, McCaffrey's fantastic. If you took McCaffrey out, if you took Barkley out, if you took Aaron Jones out, I mean, you still have AJ Dillon and stuff, but even went beyond that. I don't know. Some teams I think would certainly affect more than others. But
I mean, like Seattle, you take Kenneth Walker off that team.
I don't know, though. Do you think it'd be that big of a difference if they went to Rashad Penny?
Yeah, I mean, they would all be strike. Rashad Penny isn't on that team anymore. He's on.
Oh, that's right. He's not anymore. That's unfortunate.
You're talking about the second round pick, the guy from UCLA, Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, like say both those guys. Do you think it affects them that much?
If they both both went on strike, yeah, I think that would affect them quite a bit.
No, but they got a deep receiving core now. They got a really deep one. Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett.
I mean, yeah, they have a good receiving core, but just think about, I mean, honestly, the biggest difference I think you would see if running backs went on strike would actually be pass protection. I actually feel like that would be the biggest place you would see like such a loss. Because if like receivers converted, then yes, the receiving upside would still be there. And
depends on which receiver you have in the backfield, I guess, too. It'd be like,
I just feel like that's the biggest place you'd really notice it. Pass protection would be awful.
Yeah, I mean,
pass calls would be bad.
Very few receivers that you could teach to go back there. They'd have to add a ton of weight on to just be able to check linebackers coming in through the A gap or off the edge. I think the ability to pick up protection and learn those cues be way harder. But truth be told, again, back to the major point, being a running back right now sucks. It doesn't seem like it's any fun whatsoever. Seems a bit of a nightmare, to truth be told. They kind of have a feeling right now of how it felt probably to be like a left-handed or right-handed specialist reliever in baseball, now with the 3-out rule, where it's like, oh, the Aaron Loops of the world will get called in to face one guy. Now they really don't exist anymore because you can't do that anymore because of a rule change. Not that the NFL's had any rule change. It's made running backs obsolete, but it's kind of a similar parallel in that sense.
I mean, the other thing is I see everyone like upset about it, and like this situation sucks. And like I understand from a running back perspective. Obviously, you want to be making what you should be worth, but I also feel like it's just like any other industry. Like, think about it, your job. Like, at any job, there are just jobs that become obsolete as time goes on, as new technology gets developed. Like, think about how many jobs like ChatGPT is going to wipe off the face of the earth over the next 5 years.
Sadly.
Like, I mean, it's sad, but just because it's happening in the NFL on a large scale, it happens in almost every single industry. I mean, it happened to fullbacks. No one even talks about it.
Fullbacks just dead now. They're just gone.
It's just a dead position. Like, there's like 10 in the league.
It's like slowly kind of becoming with, I mean, a little bit, not the same way to the same extent, because linebackers are very important, but your traditional, I need a run stuffing middle linebacker, not really there anymore. You kind of want a guy that's a little bit better than pass coverage more than anything else. I mean, obviously you got to be good at tackling, but got to be an athlete.
I would almost argue
the
entire linebacker position is kind of going away because they're just getting hybrid edge players to kind
I
of
mean, at the end of the day, they're just, I mean, outside linebackers are pretty much dudes that you want to just have them putting their hand on the ground or be standing off the side going after a tackle. I mean, it's really kind of what it boils down to right now. Yeah.
Another position that's almost become obsolete in modern NFL. Like, there's some of them like blocking tight ends.
Blocking tight ends, yeah. I mean, that used to be a more heavy set thing. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just the landscape of the game. I mean, you have, 20 years ago, running backs were really important because games were more determined on running the ball. If you had a guy like Sean Alexander, if you had a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson, if you had a guy like Brian Westbrook, if you had a guy like Rudy Johnson, you hand it off 30 times a game and sometimes you win. You got Jerome Bettis back there. You can make it work, but no one runs the ball anymore, maybe besides the Titans first, and expects to win. You run the ball now just to kind of run the clock out.
The other thing is, I mean, it's just so much more flashy, like even from a young kid perspective of this pipeline to the NFL. It's so much more flashy to be a receiver over a running back in this. Like back then, like think about the LT era. Like that was the position. We had Jamal Charles, LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander, all of these massive elusive running backs who were doing it all, who kind of all these kids grew up, and now the premium position is by far receiver. You want to throw the ball and score touchdowns. That's where he's coming from.
I mean, again, draw the parallel to, again, just in my mind, baseball. It's like the reason, like Tony Gwynn, if he played nowadays, Tony Gwynn probably wouldn't be looked as nearly as valuable because the bat to ball contact like Luis Arias has just isn't viewed as valuable. It's like it's become a little bit more obsolete. If you can't drive the ball over the fence, if you can't go gap to gap, if you can't draw walks, what's really your use that much as a hitter? I mean, it's kind of similar to that, in that unless you're a home run hitter type of guy, we don't really want you. So I don't know. It's a tough scene for running backs. Hate to see it, but I don't know how you fix it anytime soon, unless there's just a dramatic rule change or a dramatic way in which offenses decide to start calling things, which there's no way it's going back to what it was. It's going to stay this bad. And I don't think there's any way you can force running backs to be paid. I don't think it's really how it works. So
no, I just think they're just kind of screwed. And I know people are trying to find solutions for it, but again, it's just like any other industries. I mean, things revolve, things change.
Yeah. I mean, there's still guys that certainly think, like the one name that comes to mind, I think would be valuable no matter the market, but maybe it wouldn't be because teams would be like, we don't have to pay you. I do think Christian McCaffrey on San Francisco is still incredibly valuable.
I think Eckler is valuable on the Chargers. Like, I think any of these kind of,
but no one wants to pay up to the dollar amount, because if you look around, no one is going to pay them that.
And you can't get adequate value, but you can get replacement value easily from probably a guy off the street. I mean, think about how many times dudes literally get signed like the week before and then come out and run for like 70 yards.
Yeah. I mean, and that, I think that just is another, like draft wise, first round running backs are so rare. I feel like every team looks for a guy the second, maybe even third to fifth round that you're like, hey, they can catch the ball out of the backfield. Not a ton of mileage on them in college. They understand how to pass block. That's not a big contract. Take it up and find the next guy in 5 years when he's gone.
For sure. So I want to transition you a little bit, and we're going to stay on the running back conversation, but we're going to continue on with our guessing game. And now we're going to do all-time rushing leaders.
Come on. God damn it, dude.
So we're going to put Clark on the spot once again, and we're going to talk about the all-time rushing leaders just because we're in this running back. What?
Said, I'm trying to just rack my brain around NFL rushing leaders. I wish I would have known this, but okay.
See, that's the point. You're not supposed
I
to
know it's
because
the
I'm
point,
testing
but
your
it freaking puts
knowledge.
me on the spot.
It does. It does. All right. So we're gonna do the top 10. We're gonna see how close Clark can get. I actually think he's gonna do pretty good.
You think I'm gonna do pretty well?
There's one running back I think you won't get.
You don't think I'm gonna get one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can start whenever you're ready. We're gonna go through 10 and I'll tell you what numbers you have.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Emmitt Smith to start.
That is number 1.
I'm gonna go with Adrian Peterson.
That is number 5.
Number 5 is Adrian Peterson. That's not good because I thought he was gonna be a lot higher than that. I'm gonna go with the one that could be right, could be wrong. Frank Gore.
Frank Gore is number 3. That's the one I thought you wouldn't get.
See, I knew Frank Gore was on there because he played with so many teams and he was super consistent.
That's good. He's number
very
3.
underrated. All right. Also, Walter Payton.
That is number 2.
Okay.
That's what I said. I don't think it's as hard as you think.
What was your guess? I feel like it's running backs. It's gonna be fishmeckling if you don't know what you're doing. Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. That's your 4. You already got the top 5.
I got the top 5. Okay, well, let's trying to think. Trying to go through some of the all-time greats. I want to say LT, but he did not play long enough. He definitely didn't play long enough to get inside the top 5. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm not going to guess him. Okay. Curtis Martin.
Curtis Martin is number 6.
He's number 6. Okay.
Yeah.
I like where I'm at right now, but I'm still really unsure about a lot of this.
You're doing great.
I'm gonna go LT next. I will guess LT.
That's number 7.
Okay, well then there we go. We're feeling good. All right. See, that's all right. Maybe
I told you it's not as hard as you thought it was.
I mean, it's just you never know. There could be a sneaky one in there. I'm proud of myself for getting the Frank Gore one. I'll tell you that one.
That's the one I thought you wouldn't get.
Well, some people are
because he's like not that
sharpest
like,
tools in the shed, such as myself. Next one I'm gonna go with here, the bus, Jerome Bettis.
That is number 8.
All right. So which one am I missing? Which one am I missing?
9 and 10. 9 and 10.
9 and 10. Wow. Really?
I will tell you, you might. There are a couple guys in between 10 to 15 that are really, really close. And so you might pick the wrong one.
Eric Dickerson?
Eric Dickerson is 9.
Okay.
So you're just at 10.
Shoot. Who's a name I haven't brought up yet?
Yeah.
I asked. No, I don't want any hints. No,
I'm not. It's not a hint. You want to hear the difference between 10 and 16?
Please let me know.
500 yards.
All right. That's good. Jim Brown?
That is 11.
Oh, damn it. Jim Brown's 11?
He's 11.
Fuck.
You might struggle with this one.
I might struggle with this one?
Just because they're so close.
It's not Marshawn. Didn't play long enough. I need to think of less common era guys. Greatest show on turf, Marshall Faulk.
That's 12.
God.
That's what I said. They're all really close. You got one guess left.
Shoot, dude. What the heck? Marshall Faulk, he's in the top 10? I thought I was going to be onto that one.
I told you. They're just all really close.
I might be wrong with this last one. I don't know if I'm going to get it. And I want to say fine. Final guess. This is probably going to be wrong. Tony Dorsett.
That's 10.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Let's go.
There you go. Bang. So do you want to know the other ones that are really close?
Please tell.
So 13, 30 yards behind Marshall Faulk, Edgerton James.
Edgerton James from Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Okay.
14, Marcus Allen. 3 yards behind James. Only 3 yards. 15, Franco Harris.
All right, Franco. Shout out Franco.
And then 16, Thurman Thomas.
All right, so I did pretty good. I did better than I thought I was going to do.
You did. You know who you did better than? Jordan Addison.
Oh,
Going
my
100
gosh. Jordan Addison does love to go fast, though, man. Jordan
He
Addison
does. He does love to go fast.
loves a good car ride, man.
He just loves to feel the speed.
You know, it's going to be really fun when Kirk Cousins has to pick him up in his minivan every morning to probably go to practice because his license is now suspended. I honestly, just reading the police report incident, going 147 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone. Was that
No,
it?
it was a 40 mile per hour zone.
Even better. That's even better.
It might have been. Let me make sure.
Either way, I've driven a car 100 miles an hour. I didn't like it. I can't imagine adding 40 miles an hour was much safer. I don't know how you're not just dumping your pants thinking this is a good idea. And then
Also,
147,
like,
I mean, that's it. 147 isn't some sort of mistake. Like, oh, I didn't realize it, officer. That was a mistake. No, 147 is I'm belting this thing. I am belting the car.
There's no excuse for speeding. What are you like? Oh, I accidentally had a brick on my shoe.
Yeah, like, oh, do you know, officer walks up, you know what I clocked you at today, son? You know what I clocked you out today, kid? 147. That's an awkward conversation. Insurance probably going up if I just had to guess. Seems like a liability. Glad no one got killed. Glad it wasn't a Henry Ruggs 2.0. That's good.
You think the league suspends him
for going 147? No.
He was arrested, right?
I think he was just cited. I don't think he was arrested.
Well,
driving recklessly, is that a misdemeanor in Minnesota?
I guess it depends. I don't know.
It didn't seem like he was arrested. Unless I don't think he was booked.
I mean, it's a citation for speeding and reckless driving.
I think he probably didn't get arrested. So I'm assuming he's not going to get a suspension.
You're right. It was a 55 mile per hour zone. He was in a Lambo. I mean, honestly, good for him. In a Lambo, you got to do it at least once.
I mean, 147. Crazy. That's crazy. I would imagine if you were just the passenger, I would be losing my mind. Because that's not just, oh, we maybe dink something and we'll be okay. It's if you hit anything, you're dead. Like, it's just over. That's the game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
before even OTAs?
No, OTAs has happened before training camp.
But I'm saying, okay, before training camp even starts, you're going 147. Tough start for him and the coaching staff, the relationship. Got to be a little bit of strain in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. I mean, like I said, Kurt's just going to pick him up in the minivan. Maybe they'll listen to some gospel music in the car. That would be actually, you know what? Would you rather be in Kirk Cousins' car every day driving to practice, or would you rather have been in the car going 147 miles an hour in the backseat?
Kirk's.
All right. Every day.
At 3 a.m. I have to do it every day.
Makes you sing with you. Sing with him.
Every day?
Every day you have to sing with him.
For how long?
Like a year. A whole year.
A whole year versus one time in Jordan Addison's car?
No, you have to do Jordan Addison's car at least once a month.
So 12 times in Addison's car, or
you don't know what the result is going to be in Addison's car every time, though.
Yeah, then I have to do Kirk's car. I can't. Well, I can't die.
You don't know if you're going to. He clearly didn't die this time. You only have to survive 12 more times.
Oh yeah,
that's actually not funny. I shouldn't even be joking about that. That's so bad. But yeah, I'm glad he's okay.
Awful.
That's a good thing. He's okay. No one got hurt. 147 miles an hour. That's bad. That's my official take. Don't drive 147 miles an hour.
Also, hello, Drew Code. Hi, they joined on.
Oh, very nice. Appreciate that.
They said hopefully no one got hurt. Which,
well, hopefully
yes,
no one.
The same thing.
Well,
but Clark was laughing about the.
I didn't laugh. No, don't. I didn't. Not for a second. I was very respectful.
No, it's okay. So Clark and I are gonna launch into a kind of deep dive here into our hometown team. I think it's time that we really talk about the San Diego Padres. We've touched on it. We've mentioned it. But I think it's time we give our official takes on the season.
Official take what they should do here, what's going on.
Yeah, so as we're moving forward, right? And we can think about this think of it as a state of the union for the San Diego Padres. AJ Preller right now has about 11 days to the deadline.
11 days.
We have 11 days before he has to make basically his career decision.
It probably actually won't be because I don't think he's getting fired.
You wait, really?
No, I don't think look, this is going to sound bad. I don't think he's getting fired. I really don't. Even if they
Wow.
miss the playoffs, I don't think Peter Seidler is going to fire him.
How would that make you feel as a fan?
Objectively, really, really bad about the future.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I just figured I can't believe you think if they miss the playoffs, he's still keeping his job.
Everything that I've heard from Peter Seidler does not make it sound like that AJ Preller is in any semblance of trouble. This sounds like he can totally botch this again and he'll keep his job.
Wait, so then what do you think what would your opinion of Seigler become?
A lot different. I think from a guy that I thought really cared about winning, and I think does, I would then say I don't think he knows how to win.
I mean,
that's what my opinion would be. My opinion is that if we have Peter Seidler retain AJ Preller, then Peter Seidler doesn't know how to win, and we won't ever win.
Wow, I can't believe you think they'd keep Preller.
What indication have you read, have you seen, have you gotten that makes you think that AJ Preller is anywhere near being let go?
Well,
he just got made head of president of baseball ops. He controls everything, which normally would think with how things have gone, that would mean you get fired. I don't think Peter Seidler has any intention of getting rid of him after this season.
My God, that would be awful.
I mean, it'll be fine. It'll be, if they make the playoffs, it'll be okay. If they have another deep run, that's fine. Then there's really wasn't grounds to fire AJ at that point. However, if they miss, if it were me in Peter Seidler's position, I'd call in AJ the day after the season ended for us. I say, appreciate what you tried to do for the last 8-9 years, but you got to go, and you got to go now.
Is there any way that you see they keep Preller and fire Bob Melvin?
I will go on record with this right now. I think regardless of season outcome, this is Bob Melvin's last year as the Padres manager. I think he just retires.
You just think he's done?
I think Bob's had a great managerial career. I think he is someone who actually is very frustrated by AJ Preller. I put really none of this season on Bob Melvin. I know I'm probably in the minority on that one, but the problems with this team are not from him. Bob can't make the lineup that's a payroll of $250 million hit the baseball consistently. Bob Melvin isn't the one responsible for having guys like Brandon Dixon, Matt Carpenter, Nelson Cruz, Rudy Odor getting real playing time in the middle of the season when the rest of the roster, I mean, he's not the one responsible for signing a bullpen that has absolutely zero depth. He's got to work with what he's got. And I think part of him with the way things have gone this season is just kind of over it. He's an older guy. I think he wants to just go back to the Bay and kind of just call it there. I think it's been a good run for him. Again, I would love for him to stay on, but I don't really see it happening at this point. I think he retires at the end of the year.
I mean, I totally get what you're saying, where you're at. I mean, my biggest thing with Padres fans is they're so quick to blame Bob Melvin. And
for what?
I mean, my thing is like, it's always the bullpen management, but it's just kind of like they had no one else to pitch, honestly. Like, that's just, who are you going to pick? Brett Honeywell?
Like every night you can't go. It's not possible to just go Steven Wilson. Like, you can't just have the same three guys pitch every night. That's not how it works. You have to count on guys like Tim Hill, Luis Garcia, some of these other guys to get outs, Nick Martinez. And the problem is they're just not. They're not doing it. They were last year. This year, they're not. And I like that we've called up guys like Cosgrove and Jacob, and I think they've both been effective. I think they both look like really good pieces. And I actually will say there's been some nice back-end bullpen development with him, Wilson, and Jacob this last 2 years. But as a group, I mean, what do you want Bob to do? This is what he's been given to work with.
Yeah,
I mean, again, you can't just throw the same three guys, and it makes it even tougher when Hader won't really go back-to-back-to-back days. He won't throw you more than one inning. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So for
I
Bob,
mean-
I really, if there was a season assessment of blame of who this is on, like maybe 5% in my mind goes on to Bob Melvin. Again, I know it's an unpopular opinion among Padres fans, but I really don't hold him that much to what's been happening.
Let me ask you a question.
Please
Let's
do.
play the who's more to blame game. I'm going to give you two names. You're going to tell me who's more to blame. Bob Melvin or Xander Bogaerts?
That's tough because I think Xander is going to have a bounce back year next year. I hope, because I think the hit by pitch on his wrist from Spencer Strider, that was a big deal against Atlanta when that happened way back in May. He hasn't been the same since then. I would say, though, Xander. Xander has been terrible when it matters really a lot this season. I would put more on Xander. He's a big contract guy. You can't come out here and underperform that badly.
Who's more to blame, Xander or Jake Cronenworth?
Jake. I love Jake, but Jake tried this idea of being a more power-oriented guy. I get what he's trying to do, trying to launch the ball more. But in doing that, Jake Cronenworth took away his biggest asset of what made him a good hitter, if not great. And that was his bat to ball. He didn't strike out. He was willing to go the other way. Now you see him go up there. He takes huge hacks. I know he hasn't been great defensively off at first base with OAA. I think he's better on that end, but offensively to get less than 650 OPS out of him, especially out of the first base position, which is a spot that's really supposed to slug and drive and runs for you, not a great look. I would say Jake would deserve a little bit more blame. I mean, you've seen a lot of instances like today where he comes up with runners on. Not that Xander hasn't done this, and it's a really bad at bat. And you're just sitting there going, we gave you how much for this? It's tough.
Who's more to blame, Jake Cronenworth or Austin Nola?
Jake. I mean, if you were expecting anything from Austin Nola, that's on you. I mean, Austin Nola, I think Austin Nola seems like a great guy. I have nothing against him personally, but he's not a good, I mean, he brings very little value to this team. And if you were leaning on him to be an integral part of this team in 2023, you were dreaming. So it's still Jake.
All right. Who's more to blame, Austin Nola or Matt Carpenter?
Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter's only on the team because of AJ Preller's pride, man. He's only on this team because AJ Preller knows he gave him $10 million. Basically, that's including incentives. And he is obviously one of the, I think objectively, he's probably a bottom 10 player in baseball.
He has a negative WAR.
Well, it's probably not the only guy on the Padres is a negative WAR. But, I mean, for what he's being paid, it's been a tragedy to watch him take at bats. Again, Matt seems like a nice guy. I'd probably go get some Tex-Mex with him anytime you want to. But to watch who's in a Padres uniform is embarrassing.
All right, one more. Who's more to blame, Matt Carpenter or Luis Garcia?
Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter easily. I mean, again, look, Matt Carpenter, we brought him in. We were hoping. I mean, this is a guy, again, when you bring in someone for almost $10 million to be your DH and they're doing this, it's a joke. Garcia is a bullpen piece. He was hurt. You didn't really expect a ton out of him. Matt Carpenter, a lot of expectations, especially after what he did in New York in the year prior. You thought, hey, this is a guy that can go lefty-righty. He can give you some pop. He's a guy that you hope you can rotate with someone else on the right side of your DH position. And he has been nowhere near that. I mean, again, if it weren't for the contract, you would have DFA'd him probably 3 months ago. But he's getting the paycheck. Preller's been a guy that does not like to take his medicine or swallow his pride, but he was wrong. That's why he's still here.
All right, so we got a question from Drew Code.
Yes.
Who would you replace Bob Melvin with when you think he retires?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that right now. I don't really know landscape wise. I haven't looked over enough to really give you a straight answer on that. That's also part of the reason why it sucks that I think that AJ Preller is going to be around next season, is he's going to get to pick another guy. And Bob got right, but he's going to pick another yes man is what I'm afraid. He's going to pick an Andy Green. He's going to pick a Jace Tingler that just listens to him and puts the lineup card in the way that he deems fit. And that just isn't going to end well. At the moment, though, I really haven't scoured it hard enough. I've thought about the Bob Melvin thing for a long time, thinking he's going to retire. but I don't know who they go out there and pluck. I don't know of a name right now that really sticks out. They might go with an internal hire and go after Mike Schilt, who's on the roster right now. He used to be the old Cardinals manager. I kind of doubt that, but I don't know. I don't have an answer for who they would go after I think Melvin retires.
Well, let me ask you this question. Prediction right now. Do you think the Padres make the playoffs?
So I wrote on this last week at work. I still haven't given up on them yet. I still think they have a shot. And it goes back to my idea is that everything advanced analytic wise, run differential, the baseline numbers tell you this team should be much better than what they are right now. And those same numbers tell you that the teams like the Reds and the Marlins and the Diamondbacks should continue to regress back to what they really are. And for that reason, I feel like San Diego still has a good shot. I'm probably going to be wrong on this. The series against Detroit cannot be overstated. They really got to sweep this one. They got to sweep this and then take care of the Pirates. But I will say right now, on the spot, gun to head, I'm picking a little bit with my heart right now, but I'm going to say the Padres still somehow barely scratched their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm in a similar boat with you. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think they're going to get really close.
I mean, I'm on the fence with that too. I think it's really going to be, they're going to make it interesting one way or the other. I think
they're going to make it interesting. I just think it's going to get really close. And I actually think that Philly series is going to end up really hurting them because I kind of think that's who's going to be the 6.
See, I actually think the 6 is going to be, I think it's the 6 is going to come down, I think, between us and Arizona.
And then what's the rest of your playoffs looking like?
So between us and Arizona, then I think the Dodgers.
Well, obviously, let's just lock in Braves, Dodgers.
Braves and the Dodgers winning the West and the East.
Are you taking the Brewers?
Centrals, I'll say Milwaukee. I like Cincinnati. It's a good story so far. There's a lot of holes there that people don't want to acknowledge just because they've been so fun. So I think Cincinnati misses out. Wild card teams, first wild card, team with no stars but continues to play the same way that they always do. I will go with the Giants as the first wild card team. And I got to look at who's the other two that are in spots right now? It's Arizona, San Diego.
Let me pull it up for you.
Sorry,
in the Giants.
So the Giants is my first wild card.
Oh, okay. Giants, the Reds.
Sorry. Giants, the Phillies will be the second wild card.
Okay.
And then I think it's between us and Arizona who gets after that last one. I know that probably sounds crazy right now considering where we are. But I think we either just eke by Arizona or they do the same to us. It's one of those two.
Yeah, I think it's going to get really close. I think they'll probably be within the realm in the last week, and then that last week will kind of decide it. Like in that last week, who are we playing?
See, that's the thing. If you look at the Padres schedule at the end, they end with some easy teams.
They do. I mean, their last series
but
is
my thing that scares me about that though is it's a dual-edged sword because teams like Chicago, who they play at the end, are going to be out of it. They're going to bring up these young kids who are going to be playing just because they can, and they'll play out of their arse and somehow find a way to scratch one out.
The rest of our July is not too bad.
No,
I mean, we played Detroit and then Pittsburgh, and then we play the Rangers, which is going to be tough, and then we play the Rockies.
Tough, but the Rangers are beatable in my mind.
Do you know who we play in August?
Hold on.
Our August is brutal.
It's probably like the Dodgers. It's probably a lot of divisional games.
Yeah. No,
it's got to be a lot of divisional.
So it is, but so the Dodgers is one series.
Dodgers has got to be Arizona in there. We haven't played Arizona.
We play Arizona for 7 games.
See, it's weird though. With Arizona, I'm not scared of Arizona. I'm really not. I should be probably a little bit more than I am, but I'm not.
Okay, well, let's keep going through these series because it gets much tougher.
We've already played Atlanta both times, so it's not Atlanta.
Not Atlanta.
I'm just going to look at my schedule. I'm not even going to guess. I'm just going to look at the schedule I have on my phone right here.
I'll just tell you.
Baltimore's tough. Miami's tough. They could be tough. The Dodgers series will be hard. Baltimore, Arizona back-to-back is tough.
Basically, how they do in August will decide whether they're making the playoffs, because
No,
almost all of
100%.
these teams are going to be in the hunt. And so like if they come out with, I don't know, maybe like a 600 winning percentage, I think they'll be a playoff team. But if they come out with under 400, then I think they're pretty much eliminated.
And here's the last thing that I'll say on them for the subject is that winning series is great. Like winning 2 or 3 against Toronto, cool. You got to figure out a way to string together like 6 or 7 in a row. You got to figure out a way to do that. And the perfect time to do it is right now. You can easily string together 6 in a row against Detroit and Pittsburgh. You have to figure out a way, or at least 5 of 6. You can't go like 4-2 would be okay. You can't go 3-3. You got to figure out a way to go 5-1 or 6-0 in these games. And they're more than capable of doing it.
Well, I'd be really bold. I think if they lose either one of these series, that it might be it.
If they lose either one of these series, then I mean, I wrote about it. I said the season was on life support this past week. I mean, if they lose a series, Detroit, there's no excuse. Detroit is a terrible team. I mean, terrible team. Pittsburgh, I feel the same way. We're at home. You got to be able to clock those guys.
You have to win.
And then like Texas, Texas is a good team. That'll be hard. Bochy's the manager for them. He'll probably cook us somehow. But like Colorado, away at Colorado, that's going to be tough. But at the same time, Colorado's freaking bad. Beat Colorado in Colorado where you should. Like that's something.
The thing. They need to win the games that are winnable.
That's the thing. I always will give the Dodgers credit for this. You know why the Dodgers are great? It's not only because they beat the great teams, but they beat the freaking piss out of the teams that they should. They always do that. And that's why they're up 15 games at the end of the year, because they didn't have a bad series against Colorado. They didn't have a bad series against, Pittsburgh. They killed them.
They just take them out behind the barn and shoot every divisional opponent.
I mean, really, that's what it boils down to.
I mean, even if we're talking about the Dodgers in reference to the Padres, yes, we beat them in the playoffs last year, but it's like something crazy where we haven't beat them for 15 games in a row in the regular season.
No, we beat them. We just haven't won a series against them.
Oh, we haven't won a series. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually will say, I think that was one moment that kind of changed the course a little bit of how the Padres are going right now, when Hader gave up that home run to Mookie Betts to tie it way back in April or May. We were about to win our 3rd straight series. We were going to take one from the Dodgers, and then we lost that game, and things just started to trickle down.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this team, where it feels like they're so close to being really good, but they're just so unclutch. It's like at the end of every game, they roll over and decide they would rather lose.
Well, it's their disparity of being able to win games 10-1 or 12-1, and then losing a lot of games 4-3 in just heartbreaking fashion is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the thing. It really feels like either they're gonna win big or lose in extras.
Yeah, and you can tell God, it's just crazy. I think I sent this tweet to you guys last night, you and Cole. We have a better run differential than the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles are 20 games over 500.
I mean, yeah, it's insane, but that's also when you lose 8 games in extra innings.
We have I think our starting pitching ERA since June 1st is sub 3, and it's not even close to us. No one else is even close to us for second best.
So before we stamp our State of the Union, let's talk about tradable players.
Yeah.
So let's do a little bit of buy and sell on, because it's basically been confirmed at this point. They will do some selling and they'll also do some buying.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like right now. So who are you selling? And we'll get into the buying conversation later. But who off the roster would you sell right now?
See, this is even still a tough question to answer, because again, I think these next 6 games determine it.
Let's say they go 3-3.
If they go 3-3, I sell Seth Lugo. I sell Josh Hader. I don't think you can really. I don't think you're going to get him back next year. I'm tempted to sell Blake Snell. I probably hold on to him. Because at 3-3, it's not. It depends on what everyone else does around you. But say you're still 6 games back, maybe you just hold the pieces. I don't know. I mean, again, if you go 3-3, I think you only sell off a couple guys. I think you try to add players who you deem, can contribute the next year or two. Like I think Hader goes because you look at it and you say, hey, we can probably get a guy that can play and be important for us next year for Josh Hader from a team like Texas. I think you can do that.
How about this? What if they they sweep the next 2 series and then get swept by the Rangers?
So if they sweep this next 2 series, they're 5 games under 500. So they'd be 1 game over 500.
Yeah.
And so they would be, was it like 52 and 51, I think? And they would
and
go.
then if they swept by the Rangers, they would be
52 and 54.
Yeah.
I think actually at that point they would go just buy. They would buy. I don't know if they would sell anyone. I don't even think they'd sell a guy like Lugo.
Wow.
I think if you win 6 straight, then I think at that point Preller won't do it. He won't.
I don't think so. To tell you the truth, I said this like 2 weeks ago. I really don't believe that Preller is selling anything.
I mean, again, I think sell is like almost the wrong term in some sense to this, because I think like when people think sell, it means just give away like everything. That's not what they're going to do. I think that they're going to give away, if they do, pieces that you look at as, we can get something for them. We can't control them after this year anyway with their contract situation. And you just kind of try to develop the core for next year. Because this isn't a team that you just look at and say, oh, blow it up after this 1 year. You got to stick with it for a couple of years, and you have more than enough talent to do so. It's just, you got to be selective about what you go ahead and get. But I don't think there's going to be some sort of huge fire sale that's not even money-wise feasible with the contracts that we have. But
no, I don't think so either. But I guess it's the question of like, really, it's the core of like, are they going to sell Hader? Are they going to sell? Are they going to sell?
I think those, those are the two you wonder. Like Hader and Snell. Are they going to go? Are they going to stay? Everyone else, like Lugo, I like, but there's a team that would give you something nice for Lugo. I think you kind of pull the trigger on that. But then on the counterpoint is like, okay, say you're still around. Like if you sit out there at the trade deadline, you're 4 back. What is trading Seth Lugo if it just gets you like a number 95 prospect in baseball? Is that really worth it instead of just trying to keep it together and go for it? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, I have no idea, but
it'll be
this
interesting.
Deadline is either going to look really good or really bad by the end of the year.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting decision.
Because like if they end up just buying and sell nothing, and then we miss the playoffs, that'll be.
It won't be the end of the world. It'll be tough. It'll be a tough pill to swallow. It'll be like, damn, we probably could have gotten. Just depending on what the returns for other guys comparable would be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but like you're just gonna. I assume they're gonna lose Snell and Hader after this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of them definitely. They can't keep both.
They can't keep both. I kind of doubt they keep either. I mean, they've inflated.
I think Snell really likes it here, but I also have said for the better part of 3 months, Snell is already mentally in Seattle. So,
yeah,
Seattle kid.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So right now the Padres are out 6.5 out of the wild card. So we'll see how it turns out.
I've seen way larger comebacks from 6.5 in my lifetime on multiple occasions from teams with less talent than this.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's just the question of.
I really will say this. I think the most likely scenario out of all of this is just buy a little bit and stand pat. That's really what I think it ends up being.
That's what I think they do too. I mean, I don't think there'll be any big splash, but again, I would not be surprised if Preller makes a big splash.
I just don't know who that would be.
I don't either, but it would not surprise me.
Who it would be.
It scares me to believe who that might be either. Could be Eric Hosmer.
Don't say that name on this podcast. We don't support that name on this podcast. He's not to be brought up.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I think we're good. I think I've gotten the Padres off my conscience. I'll be making sure to obey the speed limit for a long time here myself. Very obedient car driver.
That's good.
Everyone knows that about me.
Well, luckily, this has been from the backseat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed our conversation on running backs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the San Diego Padres and the state of the union on where they are at. Now, you can always subscribe to us on YouTube. You can like, comment, whatever you'd like to do. Make sure to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, anywhere you can get your stuff. We're not really using Threads anymore. Threads kind of died immediately.
Threads was about a one-day thing, and then everyone decided.
It was like the Pokemon Go of social media apps.
RIP Threads. You never really existed, but that was like,
it was like a sick moment where everyone tried to get famous all in one day, and then everyone left almost immediately.
I don't think I've ever actually looked at it once. I'll take a peek at mine right now.
Yeah. Well, this has been From the Backseat. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Make sure to rate if you're listening to it on the audio version. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a
Goodbye,
good one,
everyone.
folks.